Hi, my name is Courtney.
My name is Caitlin, and we are the Sullivan twins.
We're professional dancers, Radio City Rockettes, and alumni of Rutgers University.
So we started dancing when we were 3 years old. We were just doing whatever our older sisters do, and that naturally put us into dance class.
We started competitively dancing when we were in first grade.
Yeah.
So like 5 or 6, and then when we were 6, we did our first duet. And I feel like we always talk about how our duets kind of set the ball in motion, and we realized this is something we love to do, but it was really something we love to do together, and that really shaped kind of our training and progression as we continued to do everything at the same time in the same way, and we realized there was something there for both of us.
They loved it. Our older sisters are our biggest fans. They always have been. So they were pretty much eating it up. They are one of our sisters, our oldest sister, Chelsea. She continued to dance all the way through college. Our sister, Emily, stopped dancing probably in 4th grade. So then she became the real cheerleader for us in the audience. She has always been there for everything, but dance was not her thing. So she was like, you guys go ahead. You keep going.
Yeah, there's also a nice little age gap between us. Our sisters are 7 and 5 years older than us, so there was no head-to-head competition the way some might think. It was pretty much support all the way through, and they were really wanted us to keep going.
I think we always knew we wanted to pursue it in college, but then as we were in high school and starting to look around, we were like, okay, what kind of dance do we want to do in college? Do we want to do a dance program, something more theater-based, or do we want to do a dance team and continue to compete? And we had been competing our whole lives, it felt like at that point, so as we got into our sophomore, junior year, we were like, okay, it needs to be a dance team so we can still dance together competitively and have that team dynamic, and that set us up for where we looked.
Truthfully, when we were younger, I don't think we had a clear vision of where we wanted to go. I loved the idea of professionally dancing. I think in my 5th grade yearbook, it was what do you want to do when you grow up? And I just wrote professional dancer. What that might be, I don't think I had any idea, but what I did know was we had something going together, and when I envisioned it, I envisioned both of us. There was no path for me alone. I felt like wherever we went, it was going to continue as a duo or joining a group, but definitely New York being our backyard, we were like, okay, New York City is the dream one day. We grew up in New Jersey, and that was something that really was a dream to us. So I knew I wanted to be there, and I knew I loved to dance, and I knew that we could do something together. It was just where do we go with this?
I remember saying I want to be a Rockette when I was little. I remember saying it at a sleepover. I can picture myself, unless I'm making this up, but I remember saying I want to be a Rockette. But I feel like that was such a little girl's dream, and we just knew that we were so close to New York City, so we were like, that's where we want to dance. But then as we got older, what seemed like a dream seemed more like a reality that we could make happen. So that definitely started to shape later on.
Yeah. I think in high school, well, one, I think as you're growing taller and you realize my legs are long enough to be a Rockette, it starts to form in your head too. This job is perfect for the taller girls. And as we grew up, we were like, okay, this could be perfect. And there were Rockettes who came to our dance studio when we were in high school and did a little class with us. And I'll never forget the moment of right after they left, our dance teacher looked at the two of us and was like, you guys could be Rockettes.
Yeah.
And that was so clear in my head. I was like, oh my God, do you think? And that was a real turning point for us. And it was just in the back of our heads. There was no, we knew we were gonna go to college. We knew we were gonna do a dance team at that point. So there was no steps taken to go audition. I was just always down the road, that would be cool. That would be a dream.
Yeah, I definitely told our dance teacher, I was like, I remember you saying that when we were in high school. And she was like, she was like, I probably said that.
I think it was truly the clean precision of it.
Yeah.
It's in our DNA, but we are one when we dance, and I think that's the idea of the Rockettes too, is you dance as one. It's one line of ladies dancing together, and when you see the two of us dance in sync, that was our superpower growing up, was our synchronicity. So I think putting the choreo on us and seeing some Rockettes come into the room and we were mimicking them so clearly, it was, I think, the cleanliness and the precision of it all.
I think it is what Courtney's saying, like how we naturally could mimic the Rockettes and exactly what they were doing, and we had that natural synchronicity that's just in our DNA. But I also feel like it was our drive. We were always very, very driven, and I feel like that's also because we had each other, and we constantly kept pushing each other growing up. It was always like if one could do something, the other had to do it. If I got one skill or jump or turn, Courtney had to do that immediately that day. And we always kept pushing each other like that. And so I feel like we just naturally knew we were going to achieve what we wanted. We were going to work towards it no matter what it took. That's just the way we are in life. We always knew we were kind of going through every path together. And it was kind of like an unsaid thing. When we were deciding where to go to college, everybody kept asking us, are you going to go together? Are you going to go to the same college? And we just kept saying like, oh, we'll see, or we haven't really talked about it yet, because we just never really did talk about it. We just kind of knew this was what we wanted to do, especially because we knew we wanted to dance in college. And we were like, we want to do this together. And we just feel way stronger together. In a dance sense especially, we just are stronger together than individually.
I think it also started at a young age. A lot of dancers, when they're little, the first thing they do is learn a solo. And the first thing we did was learn a duet.
Yeah.
So it really was like from day one, we were like, we're gonna go on stage together. While most dancers are like, I'm gonna try to go on stage alone. So that, I feel like, was a lot of foreshadowing right there. We did eventually do solos, but it took us a few years to like break out of that duo cycle. And I do think a common misconception too is like we can't dance without each other. We can, and solos like helped us grow individually. Like I think if you took one of us away, we still are strong dancers. It's not like we can't do it alone. It was just this crazy feeling of like, look what we can do when we are together on stage, and that was a huge driving factor for us.
We did. So our childhood best friend, who's still our best friend today, she took us on Christmas Eve when we were 10 years old. She and her mom took us to the show, and they were very excited. They came to our first shows when we became Rockettes, but we definitely will remember that forever. And I feel like it was the perfect age too, because we were already very into dance. So it really, like, we were just amazed.
In awe.
Yeah, we were like, we could do this one day, we hope.
The long legs. I love the kicks. I love the legs. That's what they're most known for. They're iconic kicks in a straight line, and it's mesmerizing. And when you're young, even now to this day, training, like the legs and the technique are such an important factor and foundation for all like dancing that was like amazing to watch. Like, what if we could be that strong in our dancing?
I felt like a mix of everything we wanted together. It had the dynamic that it was a group and it was a really strong line of women, and that was something we were like, we could do this together, as opposed to like a Broadway show where there's individual roles. We were like, this could be like really a perfect match for us. And then the aspect that it was in New York City, which was basically in our backyard growing up in New Jersey, we were like, this feels really close to home and really familiar, and it just felt like a perfect match.
I also feel like there is a sense of like, wow, when you're watching them, they all look the same. And story of our life, we just walk around looking the same at all times. So to see a whole stage filled with women that look like that too, I was like, we could fit into that seamlessly.
Yeah, I actually feel like it took a few years before I went back, and then I was more like in a high school, college, teenage years where it was way more of a reality. And I feel like when I was a kid and we saw it for the first time, it was just magical, and we were just like, we want to do that one day. And then when I went back more in my teenage years, I was way more driven, like, okay, now I'm really watching it and I'm analyzing and I'm figuring out what do I need to do so this could be my job one day. So it's like way more of our usual like driven aspect where we're like, okay, we're seeing it, we're living, breathing, we're just gonna go for it now.
I want to say it ties back again into like the synchronicity of it, but there is something like powerful about the style. It's very precise in the way that they choreographed it, but it also has that feel that like any person coming to see the show can enjoy it. It's not just made for dancers, it's people, families, little kids, everyone coming across the world, the country to come see us perform. It's something that caters to everyone. So I do feel like there is like a magic to the choreography where you're like, this is really enjoyable, and half the time you don't even realize how hard it really is. Yeah. So I think they do a really good job at masking like the difficulty of the level, but then also there is an enjoyment there that you're like, okay, I know this is hard, but I'm just having such a good time watching it that I don't even realize that there are blood, sweat, and tears behind the scenes.
So we knew there is a massive competition that a lot of the big schools across the country go to, and Rutgers is one of those big schools that goes to this like main really big dance competition. So we were looking at those schools, and Rutgers feels like very close to home as well. New Jersey, we grew up there, and we actually had a friend from our studio growing up who was on the dance team. So she was one of the people who really like pulled us in, and she was texting us and trying to convince us, and then ultimately we set up a football game that we would come to, and the dance team coach brought us onto the field, and they really sold us there. But it felt really perfect for us because we have so many siblings. We're the youngest of 6 kids. We have the 2 sisters who came to everything. We have 2 older brothers as well, and our parents are at everything as well. So they were like, if you go here, we would come to every football game, every basketball, every dance event.
And they did.
Yeah, they did. And that's just the story of our lives. They always show up for us. So it just felt really right in so many ways.
And we knew, I think deep down, that we would probably end up in the same spot, and we thought like if we travel, like we'll have each other, we could go as far from home as we wanted as long as we were together. But then at the end, when it really came down to deciding, Rutgers just felt like home, like Caitlin said, and to know that our family could be close by and they would come to everything we do, it just felt like the perfect blend for us. When you're looking at dance teams, you also have to look at what styles they perform in, like Caitlin said. So Rutgers performs in jazz and pom, and there's 3 different styles: jazz, pom, and hip hop. And jazz and pom in particular are really big about technique, and so technique is like a driving force for us in our training. So we knew that those 2 styles were something we wanted to continue to work on, and it helped shape us as well for like careers after college. So definitely didn't want to stop that kind of training, so that was important for us when we looked at teams.
And then I think the last aspect was the coach. Christine Zoffinger is the head coach at Rutgers, and I'll never forget our senior year of high school when we went to that Rutgers football game and we were brought onto the field and she was showing us around and we were talking, and then we went to one of the end zones and we just sat with her and just spent the rest of the game talking to her, and it was so natural, so easy, and she just really like showed us what this could be like, what our next 4 years could look like, and she really sold us. And she's still like a very, very close person to us to this day. We talk all the time. We go back to Rutgers often, and we're just very lucky that we have her.
Funny enough, we had the same major.
Yeah.
We majored, both of us, in psychology with a minor in business administration. Well, at Rutgers, the dance team itself is so competitive that they have like a lot of clashing schedule conflicts with the dance majors. So it wasn't really an option for us to do both. We did take like some dance classes, but
I think we knew we wanted to major in something other than dance, just to like always have that like foundation and something to fall back on in life. That's what our dad was really pushing for us. So we were like, okay, we'll do dance team and then we'll study psych and business.
We couldn't even imagine stopping. I feel like we were just getting started when we graduated from high school, so they were like all in on it. They, like we said they would be at every football game, basketball game, dance competition, and they were. So it was definitely like a natural push for us, but also they would probably never have allowed us to stop either. Specific game, I'd say like our senior year, there were a lot of crazy moments, especially since we graduated in 2020 during COVID. I feel like when we look back on things too, they're like so special that we got a full football season and a full basketball season.
Yeah, I remember the senior game for basketball, for men's basketball, was against Maryland. And I'm pretty sure,
they were like number 3 at the time?
Yeah, they were number 3 at the time, and I don't know why, but I remember the date being March 3rd. So like literally a week before the world shut down with COVID. And our whole family was at the game. All of our friends' families. It was our senior game too. Rutgers won. We stormed the court. Everybody got to come to the court afterwards. We have all these photos with our families with their big like fat heads for the dance team, just like they have for the basketball team. And that will stick with me forever because that was really like one of the last moments we had at Rutgers before everything shut down. And that was really special, especially because it was our senior year.
That was a really special memory. And I think with the competition aspect. I'll never forget those moments, like right before we competed. We had like a ritual with the team where we'd like stand in a circle and either sing a song or just get like some pep talks from either we were the captains our senior year or from our coach. And those moments, like I'll never forget. We used to like find a stairwell to stand in as a team so we could have like a really quiet moment together. And that was like in my head, like a core memory.
Yeah. And then also just the friendships we made from the dance team is something we'll have for life. We lived with a bunch of our teammates, and to this day in the city, we live with two girls who were our best friends, but also our teammates. And we're very, very lucky that Rutgers brought us this amazing core group of friends forever. And that really is what the dance team does. It just brings people together, and you really do stick together for life. So it's really cool that we have that.
I love the idea when we went to Rutgers and we joined the team, they really emphasized to us that we're ambassadors for the school. So when you're wearing your uniform, you have the block R on your chest or the Rutgers logo, and that's when we're at games performing, but also on stage too. When we'd compete in Palm, we'd always have the Rutgers logo on our dance costume. And there was something like that we never had before. We weren't on a high school team. We never had an experience where we were performing for something bigger than just our parents in an audience. It felt like we were representing a school, and that kind of pride was so cool and special to us. And we just absolutely loved the university to begin with. So then to be able to represent it too in a different way through our own passion was really cool.
Yeah, I was going to say definitely a sense of pride being on the team, being on the Rutgers dance team, and I feel like we had a lot of respect from other athletes around us, which was really cool and definitely we appreciated because we definitely put in a lot of time and effort and hard work, and so it's really nice when people recognize that. It feels like something so within us. I've never connected more to something than I have with dance. It's easier to dance than it is to speak. It's easier to like feel things when you're dancing than it is just in general.
Dance is therapy. I feel like there are so many moments in my life where if I was going through something, the easiest thing to do was to drive to my dance studio and just dance. Like that was my absolute favorite thing to do, and it's an expression, a way of expressing yourself when there are no words, like Caitlin said. And I feel like obviously there's like a drive to it. We loved competing. Like there's a competition aspect that was awesome, but at the end of the day, like the competition days for us are over and we're still dancing. So there must be like a passion there that makes you feel something. And even graduating college and having that unknown factor of like, will I ever dance again? Will I continue in my professional career or not? Because there really is no certainty. I couldn't even sit still. Like I tried to sit at a desk and I just couldn't, because I knew that there were years left within me that I needed to continue to train and pursue this. And I'm so happy we are, because nothing makes me happier than when we're dancing.
I feel like we have something really special. The fact that we are twins, we are identical twins, is already a really rare thing to have. And then the fact that we have the same passion and interest feels really cool and special too. So that I know that Courtney feels exactly the same way that I do about dance. And when we dance together, it feels like something completely different that I know that not many other people will ever experience, that you have such a shared interest and such a shared bond with like your other half.
It's like a level of satisfaction when we're dancing together and then we complete something. And even when we're like, no one's watching, just walking away from a dance studio or a dance class and just knowing like we went all in and we did it at the same time and we felt those same emotions. I'm like, I can't imagine not sharing it with someone. Like I don't know how people could do it alone. I think a shared experience like that will always be so much more valued than being on your own. It can be euphoric. I do feel like there are moments where it doesn't even have to be like nailing a skill or anything. It could just be like the expression of moving your body. Like when you feel like your entire body is involved in this like motion, whether it's, I don't know, like a jazz style, a lyrical style, like there can be more emotional styles of dance where you feel like every vertebrae in your body is moving and feeling the music that you're dancing to. It's just, like I said, dance is therapy. Like it's something that you can't replicate.
Yeah, I feel like there's an adrenaline rush as well. I feel like runners will say they get that runner's high. I feel like there's definitely like a dancer's high as well. And especially when you're dancing around people as well and you're all going towards the same goal, doing the same thing, it feels so satisfying and just makes you want to keep coming back and do more. Creating and choreographing was something we fell into more post-college, and this was definitely during COVID as well, when everything was shut down and we had access to our home studio, which we were really lucky for, and we would just go in and we started to choreograph and create, and we realized we could come up with really interesting and cool things together, and that was definitely just pushing us creatively, and we loved that, and there wasn't a lot going on in the world at the time, so we were like, let's just keep doing this, and that's when we started to film ourselves as well, and we had such a nice positive reaction that it really fueled us, and we were like, this is keeping us in shape and keeping us creative, so let's just keep going and see what we do.
And I feel like that's really rooted in our start, which we're doing the duets together when we were younger. That was probably the only time where a dance teacher was looking at just the two of us and creating and seeing what our skill set was together. So I think coming back into a studio later on as adults and doing that same thing, but just with one another, we could really find something that I don't think you can really see when you're with like a huge group of people. It was like focus time on what can we do and what can we create, and that I think is really rare to find.
Yeah, so we had a plan. We were going into our senior year at Rutgers. We had both done corporate internships that summer. We turned down our job offers. We talked to our parents. We were saying we're gonna dance like at least for a year post-college. We need to pursue this. We couldn't sit still at our desks. We need to try. And so that was our plan. We were going to try out for the Rockettes at the end of our senior year. Obviously that didn't happen because of COVID, so we couldn't try out. And that was where we took a moment, we were at home, and we started to go into our home studio. No one was there, and that was when we started to go in, and we would just dance, we would train, we would work out. We were just doing things, and we were so lucky to have each other to keep us accountable. We were doing things that a lot of people couldn't at that time, and so we just started training until we knew what we could do next, and that was when we fell into social media and starting to create videos. So while we were training for the Rockettes audition one day, we started to film and post on social media, and that became like a huge avenue of our life to this day, and that shaped a lot.
Yeah, I think that was an unexpected career path that we never thought we would take, and it just kind of fell into our laps, and everyone was like, you have to ride that wave, you have to keep going, because who knows what could come out of it. And that was a really great turning point for us, because like Caitlin said, it whipped us into shape. But the funny thing was, that was the first time in our life that we didn't have a coach or a dance teacher telling us what to do. We could only tell each other what to do. And when we look back on it, I don't know what the driving force was when the whole world was on lockdown and we were like, you have to get up at 8 a.m. and go to the studio and work. And it was just for each other, but we are really good about holding each other accountable. And I think that we kind of knew, like, down the road one day, we'll thank ourselves for pushing this hard. And there was no audition that next year to work towards, and we had to keep waiting. But I think in that time, waiting was actually a blessing in disguise, because we just kept getting stronger and stronger, and we saw noticeable differences. Like, I was doing things that I couldn't do in college, in high school. I was more toned, stronger, just because we were putting so much energy into dancing, furthering our training, and creating our own stuff for social media. It just made us stronger. And then when it came around to auditioning and finally the world was opening back up and New York was back, we just felt more prepared. We came in, we were taking precision classes, and our technique was stronger than ever. We felt stronger, and it's funny to look back on what we thought our plan would have been in 2020. I don't even think we would have gotten the job that year. So it's really funny that we thought, like, okay, we can just go and do it. Like, no, we needed time to train and figure out the precision style. There was so much to learn, and COVID gave us that time that we wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah. So we auditioned for 2 different years. We started in 2022. We went to the April audition. We were shaking. We had never been into this process before, so it was very new. And it was very surreal as well. They take you through Radio City to get up to that room where you have to audition, and we were just in awe. As nervous as we were like, wow, like this will be amazing. And the audition was good. We made it. How far did we make it? We made it like close to the end, and we got cut at the very end. And we were like, okay, let's see what this means. And we ended up getting an email a few weeks later. They asked us to come to their summer conservatory in July. And we were like, okay, let's go. This is good. And we went, and it was this amazing training session at Radio City where we got to learn straight from Rockettes, and we learned show choreo, which was the best training we could have asked for, especially because we've been training at home for 2 years at that point, and we could only do so much on our own before we got in front of the actual Rockettes, and we could learn directly from them, and that really, really helped us to then go straight into the August audition. Everybody has to audition one more time. We made it very close to the end as well, but we ultimately got cut, and we were like, okay, it's time to like go back to the drawing board. What do we need to do differently? We feel like we have a good shot, but it wasn't our year. And that was where we really regrouped and got ready for the next year of auditions, and that's where we ultimately made it.
Yeah, so I feel like having that first rejection, I would say, was really life-changing for us, because it was the first time that we looked at how are we training. I did feel like we had come so far, but clearly there was work to be done. And I think that next year was a lot of like putting ourselves in uncomfortable positions. Like, what were our weaknesses? We have to go to class. We have to put ourselves out there in those specific styles that they needed to see more from us in. And obviously those weren't our favorite classes. We needed to push ourselves into those spaces to then come back the next year and be stronger. And I do feel like going into the audition process the next year, we had never been more prepared. And we were also really good about just being like laser focused on what our goal was. I had eyes for Caitlin when she was going, but other than that, I was so in my own zone. I really just buckled down. I didn't watch any other dancers in the room, because it is a really intense atmosphere. Everyone wants the same thing. We're all there for the same reason. So you can't get too held up on how good everyone in the room is. You need to stay in your own zone. And I think we were good about that growing up, and we were great about that in college too. But for the first time, it's really just on you individually. They have you dance 3 at a time, and we weren't in the same groups. It wasn't like I could, fall back on like feeling comfortable dancing next to Caitlin, which is obviously our favorite thing, is to dance together. But we knew from all the training we've done, we're just as strong individually. And I think they needed to test that. And we were very confident in that we can do this, whether we're together or not. So that was ultimately, I think, the breakthrough moment too. When we came in the next year, we were just beyond confident, and we refused to think anything negative. We'll only have positive thoughts. We'll only talk about like one day when we pass Radio City, that'll be our home. And there was a lot of manifestation that went into it too. And we just continued to like work and work and work towards our goal, and only talk about like, okay, when we're Radio City Rockettes next year, like this is what it will be like. Like that's how we spoke to each other. And I feel like that really made a huge difference.
Yeah, we tell everyone we did not make the Rockettes the first year we tried out. And I feel like it was our mindset that got us through the next year. We were really, really driven, and we only spoke in a positive way. Like, when we get the job, or we are going to get that job, we are going to be Rockettes, we are going to make it this year.
There were no what ifs and no doubts. Yeah, I feel like there were definitely feelings of doubt when we were, coming through that next year. It was a lot of hard work, and to not have that reassurance. I feel like our whole lives we had a lot of like positive feedback, and we could only rely on each other. And obviously our friends and family were pushing us like, you can do it, but not hearing from them like, you're gonna get the job, is sometimes the hardest thing. It's like, do you guys like us? Do you want us? Like, I have no idea anything that's going on behind closed doors, but what I do know is that we believe we can do it. So definitely there were harder days. It's not all going to be perfect. And there was a lot of like rethinking on what do we need to focus on.
Yeah, I feel like the doubt probably came from leading up to the audition, because we just didn't know. We were like, will we be like so prepared? Will we be as ready for it as we think we are?
But did we do enough?
Yeah, did we do enough? Are we training the right way to get it this year? But then I actually feel like once we actually got into Radio City for that audition, I felt calmer. Once it started, we were like, oh, we're good. Like, we could get this. And we actually felt much better when we were actually in front of them, which some people would think is the scariest part, but I actually felt more calm when I actually was in the audition. It was the lead up that was the worst part, that we were like, can we just get in there and show them what we can do? And then once we got there, we were like, okay, yeah, we can do it. I feel like in total it is a months-long process because April is a 3-day audition, and then if you get invited to their conservatory in July or August, that's a 1-week process, and then you get invited to August, which is a 2-day audition.
They cut people within the days of the April audition and then within August, but the conservatory is just basically like a 5-day boot camp, and there are no cuts. It's purely just to learn the choreo and the precision style straight from the Rockettes.
Oh,
It was like,
the best day of our lives.
yeah, dreams come true. I think that like moment of when I got the call was like everything was like at that moment coming true, and it was like, okay, it was all worth it. The years of working towards this goal, it was like, okay, we did it. And it's funny enough that like obviously they can't call 2 people at once. My phone lit up and I just knew like we got it. It was like not even a thought of like, oh, I'm getting a call. It's no, like we're getting a call. And that was like an awesome moment too, because when they did call, they asked, is Caitlin there? Do you want to put it on speaker? And we were like, you're literally making our dreams come true, because that's exactly how we would have wanted to receive the news. So that was pretty special. And we just passed 1 year since that moment. And like looking back on that video is like chills, goosebumps. Like that was a moment we'll never ever forget.
Yeah, so they bring in the rookies, the new dancers. They'll bring them in 3 days early, and that is our boot camp. And they'll try to teach us as much as they can of the show before all the other Rockettes come in. So we have those 3 days that I think our rookie class was 14 dancers. So it was nice to get that little leg up, because then once all the Rockettes come in, it is just full force, flying forward. The process is 6 days a week, 6 hours a day of rehearsal before we get into shows. So we are going full force. You learn the entire show pretty quick, and every day it feels like you're learning a new dance. And for the new people, it's a lot, and you're going home and you're rehearsing in your bedroom and trying to kick without hitting anything in your New York City apartments, and then you come back and it's a whole new dance. They move very quickly. It's the most professional job we've ever been a part of, and it's like the most rewarding as well. The room is amazing. Just being around, there's 84 Rockettes in total, just being around all these different dancers is quite surreal.
They're like the hardest working people we've ever met, and the level of professionalism is quite amazing too. There is a level of expectation the second you walk into the room, but everyone's meeting it or surpassing it, and it makes you want to work even harder. And I think that our whole lives we've been like workhorses. We want that kind of push, and to walk into rehearsal every day and everyone is ready to go, it's the most satisfying thing.
Yeah, I kept finding myself standing in the back choked up or in tears. When I first watched the other cast do a full kickline, I was just choked up in the back. I was like, I cannot believe I'm in this room and I'm a part of this. It's very amazing to watch how the Rockettes rehearse. Oh,
Definitely,
yeah.
there were some questions in my mind thinking about like, okay, I know I can do a kickline, I know I can do a dance, but can I do a full show? Like putting that show together, I was nervous about how hard it would be to do that first full run, because it's no joke, 90 minutes, 9 dances within the show that the Rockettes are in.
The Rockettes are dancing for about 45 minutes of that show. Pretty much half the show we are full-blown dancing. And we've never done a long form of a show before. We've done competitive dancing all of our lives, which is usually like a 2-minute number or a couple minutes, but now we're doing a 90-minute show with the quick changes backstage. It's not like we're hanging out backstage, we're sprinting, changing, running back on. So it keeps moving. And
also the amount of shows they do was, I think, there was a mountain that needed to be climbed, and I couldn't imagine how we were going to get there. Like, how does one person do, or how does an entire cast of people do 4 shows in a day? It just seemed like a marathon, and I've never run a marathon. I didn't know if I could do it, but obviously they've been doing it for years, and the way that the group of women in this room are so confident and so at ease about some of the things that I think are impossible and so challenging. Everyone is so ready to take on the challenge, and they're not even questioning it, that it gave me a feeling of confidence, like, okay, no matter what, it's going to happen, so let's just do it. And that was kind of the mindset going into some of the hardest days, and the people around me, I feel like, are what got me through it, especially as a newcomer.
Yeah, I was going to say the veteran Rockettes they got us through it. They were the calming sense around us that really convinced us, like, oh, we can do this. Even if we feel senses of doubt at times, they're like, no, you're gonna do it. And honestly, at the end of the day, they were like, it's your job, like, you will do it, and you can. And we were like, okay.
For the first time in our lives, I think that was the craziest thing to hear. It was that obviously we all have a passion, that's why we're here, but this is your job. It's not just being on a team in college because you wanted to be and you were selected to be on it. It was truly like, you're getting paid to be here, and people are gonna come see you perform. And that idea that a lot of people have this family or holiday tradition to come see the show, and this could be the memory from when you were 10 years old and you saw the show with your best friend that like then drives you to become a Rockette one day. Like, there are you did 99 shows, I did 96 shows, and of those almost 100 shows, like, any one of those could be life-changing for someone. It gives you like a different sense of importance where you have to give 100% every time, because it could be a life-changing moment for anyone.
That was something we used to say when it was like a 4-show day and you're on show number 3. People backstage would be like, someone needs to give me a why. Like, I need a why for this show. Like, what? Like, I need a pick-me-up. And somebody was like, picture a little girl out there. This is her first time ever seeing the Rockettes, and it might change her life. And then we're like, okay, let's go.
I think that a lot of people underestimate, obviously, physically very, very hard and demanding, but then also to look good while doing it. You can't look like this is the most strenuous thing that you've ever done, like you've just done 4 shows in one day, that you're tired or hungry or anything. Like, you need to put a smile on and give that idea that this is light work, and we do this all the time. We could do this in our sleep. And honestly, by the end of the rehearsal run, like, you could do it in your sleep, but there is a sense of like, this is physically demanding, but we can't show the audience how hard it is. And that is a challenge in and of itself.
I think it's something about the dynamics of dancing as well, and how you have to pull up, you have to be squeezing and engaging every part of your body as well, can be really taxing. A lot of people will always say, oh, you should like run before you get into the show, like work on your stamina, but us dancers know that like running can't prepare you for the dancing that we're doing and the endurance you need. It's completely different kind of stamina and breath work that you need. So a lot of
Kicking
times,
your legs up at the end of the day and doing as many kicks as the Rockettes do in one show, nothing can prepare you for that besides kicking. Like, we can't do any other types of workout that will ever mimic the demanding feeling of getting your legs up to eye high is where the Rockettes kick. So that in and of itself, for 45 minutes, I think I get tired after like 2 minutes of doing it. So it's really hard to think about like, okay, we're gonna do that for 45 minutes. It's a long show and we're gonna do it multiple times in one day. That's definitely like a hurdle.
So we just finished our first season last year. So this was really the trial of seeing like what our life balance will be. And I feel like those months of Rockette season, from the end of September to the beginning of January, that is what we're focused on. That is our life. And there's just not a lot of time to think about other things, because even when you're not working or dancing, you are resting and you have to focus on taking care of your body and really recovering. So we've realized like those few months are dedicated to the Rockettes, but that's only 3 months out of the year. The rest of the year you have all the time you want to do whatever else you'd like. So we went back to really focusing on the two of us outside of the Rockette season. We went back to choreographing and traveling and working with dance teams, dance studios all over the country. And we teach and we work and dance in the city as well and in other places. So that's something we jumped right back into, but we got to do together again.
I think finding that balance as well, like in a personal sense, we've always been pretty good about. We love to work, but we usually like try to cut ourselves off on maybe like Saturdays. We try not to like book anything. We give ourselves a day always, and we're pretty good about we have a lot of family close by. We have a lot of friends close by. We grew up around here, and that's so important to us. And especially when you do create your own schedule that can be so demanding and busy, you also want to fit in the time to stay close with your friends and family. So we've always made sure that's a main priority.
We tried to make it a priority to give us the weekends off from dancing, and that's our time for friends and family. So we still try to hold to that in the off season.
That had to have been one of our favorite moments of last season. That first opening night when they all came was so special. And then it really was a life-changing moment. But then to see our sisters, our parents, our brothers, they came back so many times to see us. Like we said, we both performed in almost 100 shows. And the amount of times I was on stage and I could see my mom sitting there was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, we were saying since last season we were in separate casts. Our mom ended up going to 20 shows total, which might be a record. I don't know if anyone else went to 20 shows last year. And that's just a testament to how supportive they are and how much they wanted this dream to come true for us as well.
Dance has given me so much purpose. I feel like it's funny that obviously dancing, we're not changing the world or saving lives by any means, but when people get so much enjoyment from watching us perform, it feels so amazing. Like knowing that people travel so far to come see a show is so rewarding. And even in a sense of social media, we've shared so many of our dance videos that we've created, and the messages we've gotten or comments are so nice and fulfilling that it gives me a reason this was more than just a hobby at the beginning. It's a passion, but it also feels like other people are getting enjoyment from watching us too, that I'm like, okay, this is something that we should continue to do until my legs fall off, truly. This is what I've always wanted to do, but to know that other people enjoy watching it too gives me so much purpose and meaning in life that I know who I am, and that's a dancer. I never even questioned it, but to know that other people enjoy it too is really amazing.
Yeah. Dance has allowed us to do what we love every day, which is really special to us. I don't think everyone gets to do what they love every single day, and I'll always be thankful for that.
We find a really good balance in that we obviously talked about how we hold each other accountable. We can be hard on each other, but also we are the most supportive people in each other's lives, I would say. I think that at the end of the day, when things are hard or tough, going through training or just a long run of shows too, we know exactly what to say to the other person to continue to push them and remind them this is what the dream was. I think even just looking at Caitlin, when we're in a rehearsal space, I'm I know where we started, and I have those core memories of when we were little, and look at us now. And just to look at her and have that reminder is enough unsaid. This is what we always wanted, and I think it's amazing to support each other through every step of it.
Yeah, I think we're just each other's rocks. We know exactly what to say to make the other person feel better, to keep them motivated, to keep them moving, and that just comes from being by each other's sides every day for 26 years. Yeah, I remember our senior year nationals at that last competition, right after we performed for the last time. Christine, our coach, came up to us and was like, I'm hiring you guys. You have to stay. You have to keep working with us. And then we continued to talk, and we just knew that we would be involved with the team in some capacity for as long as she wanted to keep us around, and we were so willing to do that. It was the Rutgers Dance Team really shaped us and was such an important part of our college years, and we still credit them for so much for helping us get towards where we are today. Mm-hmm. And we're really fortunate that we can go back and work with the team. We want the best for that team always, forever. And even now, this past year was the first year that none of the dancers were on the team with us, which was a really weird feeling. But we still go back because it wasn't about the girls who we were teammates with. It was more about the program and the coaches we'll always go back for. And so we want to stay connected for as long as we can.
I think it's always been so important to us. We always say, don't forget your roots, never forget your roots. And no matter where we've gone or whatever successes we've had in our professional careers, I'll never forget those formative years in college. And we always say it was life-changing and the best decision we ever made. So if we can go back and continue to help with the team success, I know that will make an impact on the girls and boys who are on the team now. We grew up dancing at Studio L in Waldwick, New Jersey, and that was where our oldest sister started dancing first, and then we quickly followed afterwards. And their discipline they gave us and the training that we received from them was extremely like influential, and it shaped us as we are dancers today. So we have a lot to thank them for as well.
We basically lived at that studio. That studio was like a 4-minute drive from our house. Mm-hmm. We were there 7 days a week. Once we got serious with dance, I feel like we were there every single day. We just lived there. We just wanted to keep training. We loved it. We lived and breathed it. And the dance teachers really, really we credit for the dancers we are today. Mm-hmm. They gave us the technical background that really shaped us, and that's the reason we probably are Rockettes today, is our technique, and we're really thankful for how hard they pushed us.
We're also thankful that they opened up their space during COVID for us, because without that time to go in every single day and work on our craft and create and film ourselves, I don't know where we would be today. So it takes a village, but there are a lot of different people in our lives that have helped us reach this point, and we're continuously thankful because we push each other, but there are a lot of other people in our lives too that supported us and pushed us along the way. So I don't know where we'd be without them as well. I'm sure there were moments in high school where we're like, why are we at the dance studio on a Friday night? But for the most part, I do feel like we have always made a really good effort to keep a balance. I don't think there's anything in particular that we missed that dance came in the way of.
Yeah, I don't have any regrets looking back. And we're still best friends with all of our childhood best friends. So I feel like the fact that we were able to maintain those relationships definitely says something, because a lot of people who focus so hard on a sport or a hobby can end up having to leave behind the past and move on to different things. And we definitely stayed close to our roots at all times. So for a day of rehearsal for the Rockettes, we wake up, we have the same breakfast every single day for years now. We'll have our overnight oats, we'll have our coffee, we'll do our physical therapy, our rolling out, our stretching before we even get on the subway and head up to the church where the Rockettes rehearse.
Yes, we're definitely creatures of habit, so we love to have the same breakfast every day. We also, last year, started having a second breakfast every day because it is so demanding. Once you start rehearsal, it's like the second the clock hits 10 a.m., it is go, go, go. They will do anything right in that moment, so you just have to be prepared for whatever they call out. And we started having a bagel every single morning as well, so that was our routine. Once we got to rehearsal, we'd stretch a second time, we'd have breakfast for a second time that day, and then once we start, it's pretty much 6 hours of nonstop dancing. We really thought about what we were eating for lunch as well. The food prep was something new to us. And
you get a lunch break as well, and we'll always go straight to the ice baths. We'll ice our feet. That was something that we realized quickly, is that our feet were pounding at all times. We had to take care of those right away. So there's a lot of recovery that we realized became essential to every day. So even that midday ice bath, get the feet, get the legs recovering, have a break, and then you go back after lunch, you keep dancing, keep pushing, and then the dancers will end with full body ice bath as well, which was so new to us, and that definitely got us through the days as well. And then we would go home.
Well, a lot of the time we would stay an extra hour just to take notes on what we had learned that day and review any choreo that was new to us. So a lot of the time it was continuing to work right when we got there in the morning before rehearsal started, and then right afterwards as well. We would try to stay and do any extra work and make sure that we knew what was going on, since we were new to the show.
Yeah, and then it felt like we would go straight home, eat a really good dinner, recover more, keep icing, go over what we learned, go to sleep, and then you wake up the next day and it starts over.
So opening night was so there was so much anticipation around it, and we were so excited. But because the Rockettes have you so conditioned to a routine, I feel like when we woke up, I was like, it's just one more run of the show. But this time we have an audience. We both felt so prepared. I remember waking up and there was a knock on our door, and our sisters had sent us like a surprise spread of breakfast and coffee, and then we had flowers at the door. Like, so many people were reaching out saying like happy opening night. It was the most amazing feeling before we had even left the apartment that morning.
Yeah, I feel like we were so ready for it. The only added feeling was just the like butterflies in our stomach that our family was coming and our friends were coming to see us. And we were just so excited. And last year, because we were in separate casts, I had my opening show first, and Courtney was in the audience with my family. And then after that, we went to dinner, and I got to dress up nice because I was done. I had opened the show. And then I got to go with my family to watch Courtney's opening show, which is also so surreal that we got to watch each other.
Yeah, that was definitely a special moment. And despite like all the like craziness that was going on with opening, we still stuck to our habits of eating the same breakfast and having our bagel before we perform, doing our usual stretch, warm-up, physical therapy. Those things never change. And then it was just the added excitement of knowing that people were going to come watch us, and just to be able to watch each other too was really something that we'll both never forget, because seeing each other on that stage is so insane, but it feels like a moment that you dreamed of. And then to watch each other, it's like kind of this weird out-of-body experience where like you're sitting there and you yourself are like trying not to do the show as you're sitting in your seat watching, because you're conditioned to do it so often, but to sit back and relax.
Yeah, I would always hold my breath when I would go to see Courtney's show because I just knew too much. I was anticipating everything. But it definitely, the opening night felt like a we made it moment.
It feels like the best the best moment of, I'm trying to think of my words.
It feels like you just spent years working towards something and putting in every day, every hour of your life towards this one goal, and the level of, what's the word? What's my word? Just like the level of,
I don't want to say anticipation, like excitement,
or just like the calmness, like.
You know, I know what you mean. I feel like there was so much to work towards for so long. Like I truly felt like nothing will ever be enough until we've achieved this one thing that feels like so like glamorous and starry and out of reach, and then to finally reach it and know like we did that. I don't want to say like I could sit back and breathe, but I could. Like I could sit back and relax for a second and be like, is this enough? Because my whole life wondered, like, did I do enough? Am I working hard enough? And to sit back and experience it and watch it, I finally had that moment of like, okay, I think we did it. I think we did enough, and we're here, and I need to bask in this and realize this is something that we'll never ever forget, and everything was worth it.